Hello, I'm Julie and I'm the founder of Naked Dragon, and I'm here at our regular venue in Chertsey, and our guest today is astrologer and Kabbalist. Have I said it right?
Kabbalist, yeah.
Kabbalist, sorry, Kabbalist. Sorry, David. David Wells, and we're really looking forward to a wonderful day. In fact, we're working with our past lives today, aren't we, David? So really excited about what the day is going to bring and what's going to unfold for us. Perhaps if you could start off by telling us a little bit about certainly how your interest in Kabbalah started to develop, because I know that I'm really interested and I'm looking forward to learning more about the Kabbalah actually.
Okay.
Yes.
It started, I had a really severe illness. I was in my 30s and I was hospitalised. And I had an out-of-body experience there. It was a very simple one. It wasn't white lights or anything. It was really just seeing myself in bed, really. And that's kind of progressed when I went back to Portsmouth to convalesce. I got sick, more sick, I think, than actually when I had the pneumonia. It was almost like my energy was being sucked from me, and there was odd things happening around me. I could hear things and see things. And essentially what was happening is, of course, I was waking up. My if you like, my psychic senses were really waking up. And I couldn't make sense of it at all. I spoke to a friend of mine who reminded me of a woman that lived in the town, who, as they say, knew about these sorts of things. So I gave her a call, wonderful Jenny Shell, and to cut a long story short, she became my teacher and mentor for, which she still is, but formally for almost 10, 11 years I studied the Kabbalah in Portsmouth, can you believe?
Wow.
Every week.
Wow.
For that time, nearly. So it was one of those synchronistic moments.
Yes.
Right place, the right time, the right teacher.
So you were already in Portsmouth at that stage?
I was, yeah.
Yes. So what? Because you're obviously from Scotland originally. What drew you down to the south coast?
I was Royal Navy. So it
of
was,
course.
it was where I kind of had most of my friends, although I didn't actually leave the Navy. I left the Navy in Rosyth, but most of my friends were in Portsmouth. So it seemed only natural to go there when I left the Royal Navy.
Were you developing an interest in these subjects when you were in the Royal Navy?
Always had an interest. It was there right from the word go, from a baby, and I had the the kind of sixth sense experience as a child, like many children still have. So I would always, in a mess deck, defend astrology or psychic. Well, not that the subject came up very often, as you can imagine.
Well, I was going to ask you that, actually. I would love to have been sitting there in the mess room with them, with you guys, hearing the conversation over the table with all these strapping sailors and talking about past life experiences. And,
first of all, they're not that strapping.
Are they not?
No.
Oh,
and secondly,
disappointed now.
They talk about everything. Everything comes up. And if you're at sea for, there was one time during the Falklands, we were at sea for 164 days consecutively.
Wow.
So you have to find something to talk about other than what's for lunch.
Oh, gosh. Were you giving them all readings?
No, I didn't do any of that. Definitely didn't do any of that. But I would defend it. If someone was saying, oh, a load of old baloney, I would jump to its defence, really.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, you're obviously very aware of working with energies as well, because I know that when we were setting up the room this morning, part of the setting up was a ceremony. Is ceremony a big part of your life? Does every day involve some sort of a ritual for you?
Every day does involve ritual. The opening up one, basically, except it's a smaller version of it. So every morning I put the archangels around my house and myself and those I love. And every night I do exactly the same before I go to sleep, because it stops the starers of the night. Because one thing I learned from being so open so quickly was that's what I got. You get, and some people often hear it from people. I close my eyes and it's like, and I was getting that a lot, and that's the very first thing my teacher taught me was the pentagram of protection. And ever since she taught me many, many years ago now, I use it, and I absolutely, live by it. But I have an altar at home, and I ring my bell, and I light my candles, and
Yeah, it's very powerful. It was lovely to be around and to watch you setting up this morning. So do you ever feel that, because you are continuously surrounded by spirit, do you ever say, guys, just give me a break. I want some time on my own, please.
All the
just
time.
Me. Yeah.
I am aware of them all the time, but I think what I do is I do have in my mind a big on-off switch. So when I'm working, I physically visualize in my mind an on switch when I'm working.
Yes.
And then when I'm finished for the day, I physically see it switch off. But I'm also not the type that has now a granny button in every 2 minutes or Auntie Vera wanting to have a chat. I don't get any of that anymore since I've learned to kind of control that side of it. Now, if anyone's butting in, it's a guide or an angelic force, or someone saying you've forgotten this or what about that. It's not necessarily that kind of constant chatter of the astral worlds, which is exactly what it's like.
So it's on a need-to-know basis only, really.
Yeah, which is fine by me.
Because do you meditate as well?
Yeah, I meditate.
You do meditate.
I meditate formally only about once a week, to be honest, but I contemplate a lot.
Right.
So I will go for a walk on the beach purposely to get that link, so that I feel connected, and I chat to them all the time. It's, I mean, you know, a bit bonkers, really. Having a little chat to Metatron, going, yes, what do you want? What is it?
That's wonderful. Well, I'm looking forward to lots and lots of chats today and lots of introduction to past lives. When you've run these workshops in the past, on average, how many different past lives come through to people?
It depends on the individual concerned and the amount of work they've done today. If it's the first time, they may concentrate just on one.
Right.
But there are some people I'm sure who've been to one or two of these workshops with me, and they will now start to build a picture. So you start to build a link, if you like, to your past that shows you key lives and perhaps key traits that you now have. Really, it's very individual. It's very driven by the individual soul, which is why I'm constantly trying to get to the soul and not the personality. So really, anything from one to a couple or three.
Yes, oh, excellent. So some of the techniques that we learned today, we'll be able to take away with us and access our past lives at will.
That's the point.
Yes.
The point is that it's not just for the workshop, it's for whenever you need to use these techniques. These techniques are simple, they're very simple, so that you can take them home and think, you know, I just feel I need to do that, I'm going to do that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, David. And welcome back to Naked Dragon.
Much.
I know this is your second experience here. So,
looking forward to it. It's great.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to have you back. So looking forward to the day and bring on the troops.
Yeah, indeed. Bring
Thank you for being here.
Thank
Bless
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you.